Today or this morning, I'm taking this Nuke and putting her into a 10 frame. She's been in a Nuke for a while. Definitely needs to come out of it. And hopefully I won't find any queen cells saying that she's tired of me neglecting her. And should go fairly smoothly. I don't expect anything, but in the evening, while the entrance looks pretty well open, in the evening it's quite crowded when all the foragers do come home, so I can't leave them forever in a Nuke if you expect any type of growth in all through the winter, any sustainability through the winter. You may hear some beekeepers try to tell you, oh yes, they keep a 2-frame Nuke going forever, a year. That's really quite impossible unless they're removing frames constantly. And at that point, I in my opinion, even the queen weekly removing a frame or every other week, she's going to get tired of that. So a 5-frame Nuke, when they say that they've overwintered, is generally something that has the ability to put a second story on them. So while they're a Nuke size on one level, it is a 10-frame, and Nukes really do build really very well as a tower, as a stackable. So that's always a good way to produce frames. It's a I believe it was Palmer who said it's a bee machine is the Nukes. If you can bring them and it'll produce a sustainable apiary, you can always just constantly steal frames from them. But that's also in a flow, that sustainability. Once the flow's over, you do have to watch them and be careful, and if you want them to remain over winter, you have to allow them to produce some sort of stores. So, or at least give them stores, or have a way to feed them. And feeding is not sustainable, not in nutrition and not in your pocketbook. So let's see what she has to offer me. This is the 10 frame that I'm giving her. She's on 5, and because I have access to it and I am giving her drawn comb, which is a nice bit. It's a reason to keep your comb safe from wax moth. It's a nice reason to keep your comb to the side. That way they don't have to redraw, whether you're using foundation or like I am, a foundationless keeper. It's always nice to give them something to, especially give them something to use, because as soon as she gets in here, she's going to want to lay and expand her nest, but she's going to have to use a ton of resources that without the flow, again, you're going to have to feed them. And whether it's stealing a frame of honey or the sugar syrup or what have you, give them drawn comb if at all possible, and that'll give you a better hive later on. She's really tight in there. Her propolis is wonderful. Propolis is a really good sign. Really good sign, genetically and otherwise. Thanks. Yeah. She's absolutely packed in there. And I have, when I first brought her home, it's for a customer that didn't pick up, and I didn't want her to stay confined more than the day, especially here in the south with the heat. And you can kill a nuke pretty quick leaving them confined any longer than you have to if they're not in the shade and kept cool and the ventilation and a few other things. So, and I try to pack my nukes and I give them a frame to grow on just to keep that ventilation. But so I brought her home. I've stolen probably 2 or 3 frames from her in just the period that she's been in this yard. And so she's done rather well rebounding when I do steal frames. Again, though, my flow is over and I'm preparing for this fall flow, which is goldenrod. And unless we get a little bit of rain here and there, even the small flowers will have a problem. Okay, so it's pretty nice. She's obviously got lots of stores. See if I can get some shade on the idea. Lots of stores and obviously lots of brood. And it's in the morning, and that's why I have such a nice light on them. And then my shade of my veiled head. So let's see what she's got to offer me. So this is the first frame I've pulled. And yes, I don't pull the side, I pull the middle. And she's got nice brood. Nice larva. They're very calm. I even jostled them a bit and they didn't greet me. They're very nice. And take a swing on the frame. That's a nice brood, nice open. And she's gonna go right in the middle of the 10 frame. Let's see. When you do move your frames over, I know that this end here at the box is at the back of the hive. Make sure you don't kind of twist them around. While they can adjust, it does help them just kind of settle back in, that you didn't, you know, twist the frames around end over end. You know, you're gonna do a little bit of manipulation maybe anyway, but if you can leave them some of their hive intact the way that they had it. So like this is number 2 frame. So unless I see that she's just packed full of brood, I'm only moving 1 frame in to give her room to grow. Come on, let me move. So number 2 frame. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then I can put a frame here so that she feels a little bit of room and she can stop any queen or swarm preparations or whatever, if I even find it. And looking down in there, I see lots of cat brood, and she may, because there's no flow, she may have been fine in there, but like I said, I want her to grow out for the winter and we'll be good. Okay, so frame number 1, which was closest to the wall, is all capped honey, which is wonderful because she's got her stores. But here on this frame, I can show you, I have to be careful. Is the queen. Okay, I'm shooting blind because of the sun. That's the queen. She's marked. So when you can't find the queen, you better start looking on your honey. I tell people all the time, just because she's not on your brood or where's the eggs, if she's looking for room to lay, she's going to start moving around and looking for room to lay. So check your honey. Just because the book said, oh, she's going to be on the brood, doesn't mean she's going to be there. I do this 10 times, 20 times a day. She doesn't always stay on her brood. So that's number 1 frame. Careful not to drop her, squish her, knowing that she's on the frame. Let's slide her in here. Very carefully, because she is on the bottom. This is where people can end up squishing your queen. If you're rough, that's one of the reasons to go nice and slow, be gentle, be cool, be calm, be patient. And even when you are cool, calm, patient, you can still squish your queen. But that happens because we're working a hive. But the more calm and patient that you are and the more slow they get out of the way. And that's number 2 frame. And let's see. Yeah. Yeah, propolis action is beautiful action. Come on, move. Most times the reason I get stung is because I squish somebody. Not because they really wanted to grab me, although that happens. And here's number 3 frame. I can feel the honey on the other side. Let's see. Try not to. It's very heavy on one side. That's the honey making me. The rest is all capped brood. Tried to grab in the middle. Oh my. So they got a little honey drippings. They'll clean that up. If I'm not still in focus, it's one-handed, guys. Nice. And again, I'm going to put this one in its position. For the most part, you want to keep your brood together. Sometimes I don't in the heat of summer if I think she's really going. I move 1 frame in. I never move more than a couple of frames in. So, okay, number 4 frame looks to be like open and more capped honey. So she's doing so good. Let's go ahead and take her out. Watching the propolis. They have a couple of hive beetle, but nothing bad. Hive beetle in this yard has to be watched because of the shade factor. Yeah, she's running up on my hand. If you move too quickly, the girls will let you know. That's nice. Come on. Got honey all over my hands. There we go. That's a nice, it's larva in the middle, outer frame of eggs, all the way out to the old capped brood, so she's been back and forth on here. If that's not too funny. They're hanging on to the bit of wax with some honey. Always like seeing a little bee action. And she's got nice pollen in here too. And that goes in number 4 position. Okay, so here we are, the 5th one. So out of 5, I have 2 capped honey. So I'm not going to put that up next to the brood. What I am going to do is give them some worker comb, and 3/4 of it is worker comb. There's a little bit of webbing, but that's cool. They'll clean that out, and because there's nothing alive in there, I've already cleaned it, and the end being drone is just fine for me, because I really don't mind having natural drawn comb with drone on it. So that frame is now up against brood. Now, even though I know she's on the 3rd frame, she'll make her way back over. No need to move her. And we'll try to get this. I need my knife to get it off the wall. Nice. And these frames are hard to lift with one hand, and yet you can do it. They're being really super good girls. Ugh. That's got to be 3 or 4 pounds, 3 pounds. And in we go. Just nice and gentle. Let them get out of the way. Nice and gentle. It'll slide down. Try not to catch too many bees, but I don't feel too guilty if I end up squishing a couple. It's the way of beekeeping, and if I felt guilty, I wouldn't be doing it. And so there, my box is empty. They're fighting some hive beetle there. That's what I like to see. Let's see if I can catch it. They do chase hive beetle, and my girls are very good hive beetle chasers. This one is very clean. I've only seen 2. And 2 in basically a pine savanna is pretty good. Because they are endemic here. So, yeah, she's chasing. That's basically what they're doing, is chasing these hive beetle. They do not like them in the hive. They try to get them out. But the problem with the hive beetle is that their shell is not, they have to just grab it and fly away with it, because they cannot get their stinger to go through that shell. But one day I'll share my secrets, because I do have a way to allow them to sting that shell. As an organic beekeeper, there's secrets that you can figure out. So this is where they chased a bunch of hive beetle, is in there. They chased them out of the hive. Let's see if I can find it there. They chased them out of the hive. There's some brush here. They kept them out of the hive. That's fine. they're doing their job. They're keeping them out of the hive. And now they move the box. And this is their new home. And you can see by the little bit of a shake, I have to get them a proper lid, but that one lid had some honey and nectar, or honey on it, and I'll let them clean that off. They'll find their house. This is a double bottom, so they have not one wide open. I'll turn it just to make sure they find their house right there. Gosh, my phone's going to be sticky. And they will find their house. It's not a mile away. I may turn it a little bit more, but other than that, the other thing I can do is leave it open slightly. On the side there. But I won't leave it open too long, because in this part of the season, smaller hives are vulnerable to the robbing. So this will just be until she settles in, about maybe probably 20 minutes. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you got something out of it. Remember to subscribe and hit that bell. If you have questions or comments, leave them below. And as always, happy beekeeping.